Today, I'm going to share some of my best advice to improve your aim and positioning in Halo Infinite by breaking down gameplay from one of my YouTube viewers. Their skill level typically ranges between high plat and low diamond. Now, this player is about to die 5 times in 1 minute of gameplay on Solitude Strongholds. In Halo terms, we call this the blender. It's not pretty. So let's give this a watch. We'll come back and break it down. And to make the viewing experience a little more enjoyable, I'll throw in some smooth Halo jazz. Okay, so let's break this aim down into 5 steps. What are the best, most important habits for us to have in a situation like this to ensure that we're the most accurate as often as possible? Of course, not considering things like sensitivity, their setup, TV, etc. This will be mostly focused on controller. I think it applies to M&K as well. Step 1 would be reticle placement. To put your reticle where you expect the target to be before the interaction happens. You can see his reticle is high up like this. If we're predicting glass, you'd want to be scoped in and on glass technically before you even leave the wall. Like you're lining it up as you're behind the wall here. Or if we're looking at loop, the same type of thing. You can stay in hip fire, put your reticle maybe between the two because those are the 2 priority angles in the situation. And he does a good job snapping to correct himself, but ideally, put that reticle as close as possible to where you expect the target to be before the interaction. Watch his habit after this as well. He places his reticle at the jump up as if he's assuming the player is going to come up through to the jump up to the nades here, which is a fine prediction. He's a little early though, right? He's missed the vital angle in between on loop here. If he put his reticle here, it would have given him the opportunity to hit a shot on the player or at least react to whichever direction he goes. If he goes to the ramp, he can place the reticle afterwards. So now he's way out of position, but essentially this is where he placed his reticle. So this is the shot he has to make now. So step 2 would be to catch the target with your eyes, your eyeballs here, and to see the shot before you land it. What I mean is you should know what it looks like in your mind and what it feels like in your hands to connect your reticle to this target. And it's not that you're taking like 3-5 seconds to do this. It's happening instantly. It's about maintaining a state of intentionality. It's about centering yourself before you shoot. It's a difficult concept to explain. And for now, I'm not going to elaborate on this too much. But the key here is to see the target with your eyes and pace yourself enough to be intentional with the follow through. Step 3 would be to snap on the target and maintain head level. Ideally, you want to hit this shot when you snap on the target, but you don't have to hit the first shot to win a gunfight in Halo. What matters most here is that you find and maintain head level throughout the fight. Now, why are we doing this? Because maintaining head level gives your left stick, your strafe, the opportunity to take over and support your aim. Step 4, let your left stick take over and support your aim in this fight. This player is overusing their right stick. They're battling with the reticle, the D-scope, their opponent themselves, all at the same time, right? You can see he scoops down vertical below the player, shoots out to the left, and then snaps over to the right, and then back to the left again, and then we shoot again, right? All under the player. So this idea of finding and maintaining head level, regardless of whether or not you snap on the player, it's sort of twofold. It's about giving your left stick the opportunity to strafe and support your aim. You're mirroring the strafe of the opponent, but you're not only aiming with your left stick. I think this is a misconception that kind of comes from the pros as well. They say just aim with left stick. Like aim assist doesn't take over and do it all, right? A good aimer has to use both sticks. And I think what separates the best aimers is how intentional and how precise they are with the right stick. This idea of setting head level is not just about your strafe. It's about giving you time to be intentional and be precise with the right stick. You need time to do this properly because any tiny little movement is going to send that reticle all over the place. We should know in our mind, based off this distance, what types of right stick movements we can do that will assist our aim and keep it on target, and what would be too much of a movement, what would take us off target. So we should already know in our mind that scooping down vertical like this shouldn't even be an option, right? You should be able to limit yourself. That's the idea. Limit yourself to not even do this type of movement at all. Like, very tiny little left-right movements is all you'd really need if you already kind of have it where you need it at head level. Or you might not need to use the right stick, right? It's all about waiting till that final millisecond when you come through and land the shot. Now, of course, this player is also battling with D-scope, right? At long range, you get knocked out of scope. You might snap into scope and get knocked out and spin off in hipfire because you got like 2 different sensitivities depending on hipfire and scope, right? This is kind of a difficulty with long-range fights in Halo. So the 5th and final step here would be to predict the D-scope and let it happen. You got to see it coming. You got to anticipate and know, like, he's going to D-scope you before this fight even happens, right? When we scope in and we miss that first shot, you need to know that he's going to shoot you out of scope and stop using the right stick too much, right? Like, stabilize yourself. Let him D-scope you. Don't unscope yourself. And think about, once again, waiting till that final millisecond to snap back on target. Even better, shoot him once in hipfire, then snap and scope so you can de-scope him back and maybe throw him off. But the key here, once again, is just being ready, right? Being prepared in advance. I know he's going to de-scope me. I'm ready for it. I'm going to let it happen and just stay still. Anyway, that's your 4-minute, 5-step over explanation of how to aim in one gunfight, right? I think you could apply that to all of his aim situations that he experienced in this game, right? It's just this whole concept of, you know, letting your left stick support your aim, being intentional with the right, and maintaining head level, doing things that prepare you as much in advance so that you aren't startled, you're not thrown off by anything. It's about maintaining that state of prediction, of intentionality, being proactive, right? And then this is going to come into his positioning and his exit routes and how he takes his fights as well, right? It's a holistic kind of process here. We jump out the window. We're exposed to so many angles right now. This is super lucky that he lives in this situation. Of course, off the opening on Solitude, we got camo, we got snipe to play for. Camo is a heavy priority, in my opinion. I think it runs the game. You can't see the player on the map. You can't hear the player on the map with camo. So even at a pro level, I think this has the most dramatic effect on who wins. The sniper, obviously very important as well, but the camo, you need it. So there's kind of a twofold issue here of jumping out of here and then kind of leaving the camo fight altogether. We can't contribute to it. If you drop down here, and we know there's a player in the hill because he's lit off the icon, we got to know we're completely alone, right? We've separated from our team. The icon for the snipe is still up. Nobody's picked it up. So I'd be thinking in my mind, instead of challenging and overcommitting to a 1v1 fight, bottom mid, and exposing myself to so many sight lines, right? Stick to the perimeter of the map. If we take this fight, we're taking it from behind the truck, which I think this is a waste of time, personally. I'd play this way. Watch the back of camo, so if he does pick it up, at least maybe we can contribute, or really ditch it altogether and play wide through here to get to snipe and to get positioning on this side of the map. But as far as his positioning here, he drops down, tries to take this fight bottom mid, right? Exposed to all these angles in the center of it all. He's chowing out. He's very weak here. Like, we're gonna die, right? Like, even if you win this fight, what's the quality of life after this, right? They know that you're here. Now, if you take it from behind the truck, you might actually delay long enough for the teammates to help. It's just about, you know, giving yourself as many opportunities as possible here. And we don't have any. Like, the only opportunity you have is to 5 the hell out of that one guy who's got cover, right? He's got a huge advantage on you. And it's just too much of a gamble to be worthwhile. Like, we spawn up in driveway here. Notice how he stays in the cap. And I can tell he's not really thinking about where the enemy is coming from, where they're spawning. Here's the camo, by the way. And this is the issue with not having camo, right? This guy's just got free reign to watch us and wait for his time to kill you. And then he ends up dying like this. So right off of this life, first thing we need to be thinking, once again, where we spawn and where our teammates are and how that impacts where the enemies should be on the map. If we spawn here, teammate above us, teammate in bottom mid, cafe is open right now, is what I'm thinking. And snipe, the back of snipe is technically open also. This is all unsafe space on the map. So the moment we get this cap, stay here, by the way. You can get the cap and kind of angle, you know, look towards dip or look towards, you know, deep back here if you stay behind this cover. But the objective is to not stay here, right? Bottom mid, if you take anything away from how to play Solitude, do not spend any more time on bottom mid than you absolutely need to. Like, if you're flanking, sure. If your team's down here, maybe, right? But ideally, you want to get out of here as fast as possible. The moment you cap it, I would turn left And again, I'd play for the perimeter and play towards snipe side of the map. If you've got this side of the map as your anchor, this is what you want to control, ideally, right? This is where the sniper spawns. It's got vantage points and sight lines over camo, and then from there, your teammates can get to the ideal positions to kind of lock things down, depending on where you want to block and isolate spawns. But ideally, it comes from snipe side as your anchor. More often than not, you want to try to get to the perimeter, push this out. You can do that by jumping up the silo. You could go up the soda, crouch jump up the soda and watch it like this and be aware of cafe, or go wide and take the longer, safer path. As long as we're making our way there through the perimeter, I think we get out of this situation where we get collapsed and shot at from all different directions, right? The quality of life here is not great, and we're not thinking about spawners. So we're 3 dead now. Spawn up, cafe, enemies across the map here. Same problem, right? He scopes in. He's overcommitting to this fight. He doesn't have any cover. He's got no positioning here. Overusing the right stick, trying to shoot everything, right? A rule to keep in mind in this type of situation is to strafe less and peek more. Like, if you watch pros play, they have mastered the art of the peek shot. They do not take unnecessary ego challenge strafe battles, right? Like, I see the craziest strafes at plat and like diamond level because they think they can ego chow their way to success. Like, in the end of the fight, it's not just about winning that 1v1. It's about what comes next after it and taking as little damage as possible. You can output the same damage peeking here versus standing here and strafing, right? So just about, putting yourself in a position where you can easily exit, especially considering we saw 2 targets, right? If you have numbers and you see one player and he's already weak, then you come out confidently, right? We see 2 full shielded players. I'm taking this with some hesitation. I'm going to be careful in case they turn and snap onto me, and then there's a 3rd player that comes in the picture. On top of the fact that we walk so far forward, we now somehow end up inside each other, right? That's the beauty of no collision in Halo, but he gets shot by his teammate and by the enemies at the same time. And now we spawn Tram. So once again, where's the team, right? We got 1 across the map in cafe. We got 2 in bottom mid. I think it's important that we think about the formation of our team here. By sliding in and challenging out driveway, this doesn't really benefit the team in the long run versus taking a perimeter position like glass, and what that does for the formation of our team and for map control later. Now, shout out to Eli the Ninja, who kind of helped me out with formations and like understanding the ideal way to play. If you take a team like Optic, the way that they play on the map is they create a line formation across the map from the left perimeter, the right perimeter, and mid. They fill in all those areas, and they move together in sequence, so they hit the angles together at the same time. Now, obviously, we're not Optic Gaming, but you can create that formation by sitting on this left perimeter. By sitting here, it would give him an opportunity to kill this guy and an angle, as he kind of pushes through, assuming he doesn't just like fly out in the open. He's going to take his time with it. But ultimately, let's say you get this kill, you're in position to assist bottom mid, and more importantly, you can flip the map and get to sniper and push up to snipe, which flips the spawns and map control and benefit for your team in the long run, if it works, right? Shout out to LehCar, right, as well. If we're taking the learnings that we've got from our recent YouTube videos, right, LehCar talks about playing for spawns, playing for map control versus going for the immediate fight in the center here. Because what's the best we hope for here? Let's say he's a god. He kills 2 players. He's still going to be one shot, likely going to have to back out to yard, in which case they're going to spawn and snipe and take control of the map again, so he didn't really accomplish anything. Or maybe he's one shot sitting in bottom mid and still vulnerable to whoever else is alive in this situation, right? So it's about making the long play. So off spawn, I'd go glass, and I'd wrap through this way with the objective of flipping the map. Instead, I think regardless of how you take this fight driveway, the moment you see 2 and then 3 players, like, you got to be backing up, getting the hell out of here. I'd back up, jump out, get out of this. Don't overstay your welcome trying to get kills, because you're just going to get melted by 3 instantly, right? Like a rough situation to be in. We all 4 die. There's still 3 up. Now we're all spawning snipe side. Snipe is not a good place to spawn when they kill you like this, when they have a numbers advantage, because you're spawning in a pit, right? Like, it's like a nade trap. He's coming up the lift here, which we're all going this way. I almost feel like I'd want to complement that by coming out towards repulse. Now we can isolate that fight. But because we're up here, I'd pay attention to where my teammates are looking. We're looking at cafe and try to put myself in a position that supports them, right? We have no info on what's on this side of the map. Nobody's looking at it, but somebody could come from here. I'd be looking at glass. I'd be watching the ramp and positioning myself against, like, towards the wall, so I cut cafe out of the picture. The alternative to this is we could cut that sight line out and then fly at cafe, which is also risky. But by doing that, we leave our teammate open to getting shot for free, right? We're like, none of us are thinking about this angle. So we're just going to get pinched for free here. Overusing the right stick once again, right? Trying to be patient. Take your time. Be intentional with the shot. He does find it. Teammate spawns across the map in cafe. That tells us they could be right on top of us, right? Cafe's open. They could be collapsing on us. We have the cap here. Watch how he chows out. Here's the Ryan Noob quote, right? We're pulling info from all the best sources here. But Ryan Noob, that idea of you have the advantage by having the cap here, the objective, right? Let the enemy come to you in this situation. By having your teammates spawn on Cafe, that also tells you the Cafe is safe. So you're not likely to get shot in the back if you stand here. If you just sit here and play within this, maybe jump up to this ledge with the objective of going S4 or backing out to bottom mid, if you're in trouble, you can delay this. Take your time, right? You can win this. And for now, that's all I got. I want to try to keep these videos short and sweet, and I'm still working on that. But thank you for watching if you made it this far. Happy New Year 2024. By the way, I got no fancy resolution just yet. Just want to keep doing this and do it better and bring you guys value through Halo content. So if you like this stuff, you want to support me, you want to work with me one-on-one, I've got links to private coaching, to my Patreon in the description. Thank you to my existing Patreon subscribers, by the way. Otherwise, let's keep grinding. Let's keep improving. I've got my Twitch in the description as well. I got a lot of gameplay grinding for myself to do. I want to improve at this game. You know, I'm still learning, still figuring things out. So I can be the best player and person. I think this is kind of ideally mastering anything, I think, is a holistic process, not just as a player, but as a person overall. But anyway, that's all, guys. Enjoy related videos beside me and keep grinding. This is the way.